Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon.
Morning, Alex.
Picked a bad day to have a lay-in. By the time I woke up, I had numerous messages about this Jason Tindall departure. I feel really sorry for Jason, actually. I think if you'd said to Bournemouth at the start of the season that come early February, you'll be sixth in the table, you'll be in the promotion shake-up, after the turmoil from Eddie Howe's departure, they would probably have taken that. I think where he's been unfortunate, they made a really good start to the season. You were talking to Harry Redknapp there. Jason Tindall made the best start to a season of any Bournemouth manager since Harry back in the 1980s, but they've fallen away recently. 5 games in the Championship without a win, 4 successive defeats, including against Sheffield Wednesday in the last minute last night, but they're losing to teams that you really need to be beating. Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, Luton, Preston, not teams that are seen as candidates to go into the Premier League. We know the financial implications of dropping out of that division. I think they feel by acting now, they still have a chance of going straight back up. And it's interesting that you asked Harry about John Terry. That is the name that has been mentioned to me this morning. I know Frank Lampard was installed as the favourite with the bookmakers. I don't see this as the right fit for Frank at this stage. I think his stock is still relatively high based on what he did in his first season at Chelsea. I think he would still see himself as a Premier League manager. If he goes to Bournemouth and fails, it's difficult to see how he bounces back from that. John Terry wanted the job last summer. He contacted the club himself. They said, we're going to go and appoint Jason Tindall from within. He said, OK, fair enough. Carried on at Aston Villa. I think he would be very interested. Lives in Cobham, could commute from there. And that it's a good playing squad. It's a playing squad that I think John Terry would back himself to give a really good shot at promotion. So that is a really interesting and a live contender, in my opinion, this morning.
Okay, so Harry was talking Terry. Alex, you are as well. Simon, what do you think? I mean, John Terry, I think he was on with the boys in Sports Bar last night talking about all things Aston Villa.
Yeah.
He's learnt a lot under Dean Smith, and he's probably more ready than ever now.
He would have learnt a lot under Steve Bruce and Dean Smith, and he's probably gone about it the right. I mean, I on the times I've met John Terry, I've really liked him. I liked him as a footballer. I thought he was outstanding. I tried to sign him from Chelsea and got told to go forth and multiply by Ken Bates many years ago. I also liked him as a person, irrespective of some of the controversies around John. I always liked him as a person. And I think that having done his coaching experience for the last 2 or 3 years, it gives him an ideal situation to springboard off. Now, the challenge is that, with the greatest respect to Jason Tindall, he's been at one club for 22 years, he's had a good run. So whilst we all sit there and say with sentiment that's very sad, he's had 22 years of opportunities, and he was indeed part of the backroom staff that was responsible for the demise of Bournemouth from the Premier League. So you have to remember that when that voice is being used again the following year to try and remotivate the same players, because they've heard that voice repeatedly. It depends what kind of number 2 Jason Tindall was. Was he a Sergeant Major number 2, or was he the one that people went to cry on the shoulder of? I took number 2s and put them in place, and they don't work because they're the same voice that they've heard before. So I felt it was a strange appointment from Bournemouth. A, not having managerial experience. B, being part of the setup that really went out of the division rather poorly last year and looked like they were going to go from the very beginning of the season, quite frankly, or certainly within a few parts of the season that we saw. So I'm not surprised that he has found challenges. And as Alex has already pointed out, if you start getting beat, with due respect, to the Luton bottom of the league derbies that I know are getting their engines going with Wayne Rooney, and I know I've made comments about Wayne Rooney, but they've got themselves going, Sheffield Wednesday, those sort of results will get you into trouble. And Jason and Alex's summation of it, which is that he started well and they're going away now at what people would consider is becoming the business part of the season now. As you move into the last sort of 40% of the season, you want to be getting your form together, not losing it. So I'm not surprised he's gone. But going to John Terry, I don't know how John will interview in a situation where, put aside what he did as a player, put aside his experiences at Aston Villa, which is a different dynamic to Bournemouth, different setup, different framework, different expectations, different responsibilities, and how he'll interview as a manager and what he'll bring to bear. I think it's a risk, because experience gets you out of relegation battles and gets you promoted. Not iconic individual players that once upon a time great. It is a risk, but it may well be that John has learnt so much that he'll be compelling in an interview and worthy of that chance. I think he's gone about it the right way in terms of
that's right.
Gone and learnt his trade.
Yeah, and I think he's going to try it sometime, Simon. And this might be the time.
Absolutely. I think John Terry will make a manager. It's whether Bournemouth think he'll make a manager that can get them out of division this season.